Hi, traders. It's 11 a.m. EST. It's time for Mike and me. Mike, big red day. Um, you know, people know I turned bearish Amazon last week.
Yeah.
Okay. That the S&P was back inside the throwover line. It tested it yesterday. I've been talking about 4,200 before mid-October. I think that's maybe too optimistic. We could be there soon. I think they're starting to price in besides the Fed, a government shutdown. The VIX actually had a breakout day yesterday. There's your daily. It broke out. It's following through. Next stop up here around 18. And we get through 18, we could go to about 26. Above 26, you're talking, 32 to 48. So that's what's happening there. Everyone knows what the story is in yields. They continue to move higher. I've been talking about the TLT taking out its October lows for a while. So here we are. And congratulations on your Freeport short yesterday, Mike. Copper is breaking down today. Here's your quick look at copper breaking a long-term, it's a long-term triangle that goes, all the way back to the beginning of 22.
I did call you literally on my cell phone for your edification on what you thought about the copper and FCX, because you are my commodity mentor. And thank you for the edification. I could send a picture of the text if you like, but believe me, people. No, I'm talking to the other people. People trust us, So okay. Thank you.
All right. So I'm looking for it here. Here it is. Down 114. That's a weekly. So, I think we're going to at least challenge these lows. Maybe trade to the 200 week. 30 looks viable over the longer term. That's a weekly chart. Also, copper breaking down is not a bullish signal for the economy.
No.
In fact, I said to a few people that Dr. Copper is being sued for malpractice for attempting to impersonate a bull market, because a lot of people,
That's a good one. It's original.
Yeah, a lot of people that like silver and gold also, they're talking, the EV revolution and how much copper, and it takes 10 years to bring on a new mine. Anyway, so let me ask you this: how are you managing risk in this market here?
Well, okay. The VIX picked up, as you know, so things got up, as you predicted, or not predicted, as you predicted is more of a coin flip, in my opinion. I think it was you lined out. So, the market's giving me opportunities, but because I'm always mixed and I had some losers, they got exacerbated to the downside a little bit, although I did have some very good short term. So the volatility is picking up. The thing is, I've been making a lot of good trades to make up for, the longer term hold leakage.
Okay. So, I was just looking at,
look at John Deere.
Yeah, Deere got whacked. I mean, it's hard to find something that's holding up. I wanted to ask you this, Mike, because, I pay attention to what you say with option sweeps. It's hard for me to believe, and I kept asking you all week, is there any put buying in Amazon? Or look, Microsoft is bouncing today, actually looks okay.
That had news. That had fundamental news. That's why it went. So we'll see. Okay. I digress. The markets, it went up originally, down. See how that closes, because it was fundamental news. So I think the Microsoft close is more emblematic of maybe if the market has a little bit of bounce short. Pardon.
How about the banks? Because I covered my short.
First one to go positive today.
Okay, so the banks are acting good. Are they backing up the calls on the financials here today?
Just JP Morgan and Citibank.
Okay, City was where it started earlier in the week. So City had what, a little 2-day pullback? Well, unlike the rest of the market, normally a month ago, City would be making new lows with the market not yet making new lows. So this is a little bit of a shift here.
Well, they did what they did go to it early, not to be redundant. It's about to close. JP Morgan as well.
Yeah, there it is,
I mean, the
holding up
market's
pretty
at
well.
at least the SPYs are at the low as we speak. And
Yeah,
is from, if I can read your chart correctly, it's well off the low. So,
yeah,
they
yeah.
backed it up a little bit, and the calls that they've been going off to, again, has been longer term. So they're saying that we're going to take a couple of, hiccups and a couple of bumps and bruises, but, we're going to be okay a little bit longer.
I tweeted this out. I remember A-Man was talking about this breakout in Intel, and I believe I posted in the room that it was a breakout failure when it was testing it here, and it's going to have a hard time getting back over 37.
No,
The
that's
only
scar.
uh,
That's a
the only
scar.
new thing I did in currencies, which is pretty contrarian, is I shorted the yen. I posted it in our main room. Yesterday was after the Fed. It was a little bit early, 47.96, and I had 100 pip stop, so they didn't get me. I had a 45-point drawdown, and now it's 55 in the money. I think it's important because if this is happening, yields can't be too far behind, or there's going to be some kind of intervention. The BOJ is tonight. But the dollar also, you can't find any dollar bears anymore. Remember down here, I said they had to clean out a lot of dollar bears. Well,
Coach, I do. I'm learning. I'm not a commodity. I'm not
yeah.
a
So
forex trader. Yeah.
anyway, in the CFT report in the last few weeks, a lot of the euro longs have capitulated and dollar bears have. So we're probably due for some kind of pullback here. But I want to see what you're doing individually, and um, are they going out? What are sweeps telling you today? Are you getting any message? And do you think that this sell-off is going to go on for a while? They're beginning to price in a shutdown, Mike.
That's
And
true.
I interviewed a guy yesterday who said it'll last 2 weeks, which is into my mid-October date. And I know that everyone's going to think I need to be stabilized, but we have an annular solar eclipse mid-October. So I was just guessing that we'd put in some kind of low around that time frame, go down into it.
Right.
So that ties in with a 2-week shutdown, partial shutdown of the U.S. government.
Coach, may something say something?
Yeah.
We've been doing this for some time. That's arguable. And they sit like the last year or two, I've learned more than I ever did in a bear market. I've learned more from you in however long we've been doing with this with the macro picture, or some things coming to fruition that not only made a fundamental sense, but wound up working empirically. So a couple of points. Bravo. Thanks for teaching as the room as well. But I learned a lot more when things got a little bit dicier.
Tougher.
Yeah, right. That's why we're here.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Back.
yeah. And we're both Geminis, so we don't care if we're long or short.
No, I'm not.
We're not
I'm not. Yeah.
We're not perma anything, except perma TGH to help people avoid the landmines that we've stepped on during our career. And, that's our mission, is to build up and edify traders every day. And we're doing it every day. So what are you seeing here? Microsoft calls. Okay.
Well, those were first of all, let me do one thing right now. I pointed a couple of things, said one thing, and let me show the Microsoft like it's an actual entity. So Microsoft is the weekly. I'm sorry. Microsoft had news and a new AI rollout. It did the rip, and then there's a minute chart. Bottom line, its ranges from 315 to 325.
Big range.
So let's see where it sits today. This is the long term. It never made, so you're probably better reading than I am. Don't chase it. Like I said in the beginning, before I brought up the chart, I think it's more indicative of how stocks are absorbing news relative to the market in this sensitive time. It doesn't mean Microsoft is the judge and the jury, but if it holds up, then that means they're doing something.
Yeah,
So
I was thinking it could go back and fill that gap eventually, but short term, if what I'm seeing in US dollar yen and the dollar being way overdone and we get a pullback in the dollar and yields, Microsoft maybe makes a run at 345. I'm a seller there if that happens.
no, noted, coach. Noted. Let me go back to our, what are the wise guys doing? Because at this point, everybody knows that I really don't play indices. Obviously, I'm cognizant of what is going on. You very rarely see me have any type of TTQQ,
Yeah.
TNA. I don't play, I don't. By the way, Alexis is a Gemini too, he just told
Oh
me.
my God, we
Yeah,
have so many. We're just
and
jammed with
threesomes don't work.
We're jammed with schizophrenia here.
Yeah.
All right, so what else you seeing, Mike? Oils are finally pulling back a little bit. That's not
That's
helping.
helping a little, but that's helping us.
Okay. Yeah.
Trying to put in that floor, at least temporary bottom in Microsoft. AMD weeklies, but they're messy. I get it. Great call on AMD as it broke 100.
Yeah.
97 AMD.
Been very sad for a while. It really grinded until today. The last few days have been significant, and people go, well, why is the market all of a sudden reacting to higher yields? Because it's been kind of obvious with what the 10 years been doing and everything the last 2 weeks. And, markets are interesting, Mike. They could ignore something for a while, or maybe it happens slowly, and then all at once. And you get to some kind of tipping point. And I think that happened firstly Friday was the omen, the way we
The
gave
option
everything back.
expiration, and I was
Yeah,
always pointing at the chart, so
yeah,
everything was in a tight triangle, even GLD.
yeah, yeah.
Pardon.
Anyway, so next month or so, and if all this is a correction, and we're getting the final flush in miners, and this just another pullback to buy before we have a melt up vis-a-vis Dave H. Contrarian. We'll see, but I don't think that we're ready to make that charge yet. I think 4,200, 4,100 is going to be tested sometime in October, probably with the government shutdown being the reason. But, I can't even call it a black swan because now it's almost a consensus view. I've heard a lot of people saying, yeah, we're going to have a shutdown. It looks
If
like
it
we're
was the
going to have a
consensus
shutdown.
view, then well, listen, I don't think this is a buy the rumor, sell the news. I think the consensus, listen, there's always when the market listen, coach, there's you taught me this to a degree. When there's reason, when the market is skittish and there's reasons to sell, take any reason to sell. And by the way, it's a major reason. Everything looming. So that's part of our
They're
macro
finally,
hopscotch plan to keep in mind.
yeah,
That's looming.
they decided to finally believe Powell yesterday that
Look,
rates are going to stay higher for longer.
and I do
So
want to say, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
I do want to say something, and wherever Mark is, usually what happened with the closes of a Fed day, usually the opposite does happen. It's not not a killer statistic. I get it, but the fact that we're down today, or it exact, I think it caught. I even thought it caught short-term speculators offside.
Yeah.
For short term, to be for a wise guy play. Obviously, if we go back to
Yeah, I mean,
Microsoft.
I didn't see put buying before this recent decline. You didn't show much option sweep activity on the put side in the last week or so. Have you?
No, I have not. And what was even more odd, as I got to give props to the Wall Street Jesus feed, is that as there's an update that came out at 10:56 or whatever. I'll go back down, but is that usually, and there are some. I mean, these are wise guys. It's a tool. I have not seen any VIX and UVIX calls. No, nobody's been even playing VIX lottos as a hedge. No, seriously, coach.
That's
No.
bearish. Mike, I'll tell you a story. Back in the late 90s, I was early in bullish gold. from about, I don't know, 400, and it went all the way down to 2. And back then people were saying gold doesn't work anymore. It's an archaic object. You could use it for paperweight on your desk. It doesn't work anymore. And what's been the mantra about VIX in the last year or so? The VIX is broken. You know what it's broken? Out. It's broken out on my charts at vis-a-vis yesterday. So the fact that people aren't embracing this pop in the VIX tells me there's plenty left. I'll get worried when I start seeing more people start to embrace it. So we're going to your green line there, buddy.
No, I listen, there's with earnings out of the, I don't see what could it, I don't see many positive catalysts unless the AI revolution starts picking up again, which fueled a lot of this. And, other stocks, that maybe they're taking up Kellogg, which by the way is bearish a little bit.
Yeah. They're going back to staples. They're getting real defensive here today.
They are.
Except for Microsoft.
You know what? I actually facetiously mentioned General Mills the other day that had a huge range.
Yeah.
General Mills went from 66 to 64. A 6% move on General Mills, as you would say in the early 90s, would have been on, what is that station? PBS? Remember that guy that comes on at 6 o'clock? What's his name?
Oh, would have been on Wall Street Week with Louis.
That's correct. A major move. Now I'm thinking about actually freaking buying the thing because it had the volume out of it, got washed out.
He looked a lot like George Washington to me.
That's correct.
Okay.
I love the guy too.
It was a great show. Yeah, I mean, that's when you had guys, I'll date myself. He'd have guests, like a lot of his guests aren't around anymore. Marty Zweig, Don't Fight the Fed. I mean, all that good stuff came out in the 80s. A lot of great market technicians from back then. When I was just a whippersnapper.
I started at Prudential Securities when I was 21 years old, and Ralph Acapora was.
Oh yeah.
Back then he made the Dow 10,000 call, which by the way made David Hunter's call look timid.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it worked.
Yeah. Ralph is still around, I believe.
Yeah, he's they say he's a godfather. He's a good dude too.
Yeah. So what do you think going into a weekend? Are people going to want to go home long tomorrow? After this week,
I don't want to go. I mean,
are we going to get some short covering here into the weekend? Or are people going to say, you know what, ugly week, I'll just get out of the way and see what happens next week?
Well, listen, I appreciate the fact that would, you're baiting me into a question about price action over what, I don't.
Right. I don't know either. But I would say that most people, after looking at what happened this week, and there is no Fed put for them, potential government shutdown, who knows what Russia and China are doing, who knows what U.S. politics are doing, probably prudence over valor.
And that's why the VIX is popping. It's not because listen, it happened in that's the VIX started to pop before Powell.
The world changed. Yeah, the world changed yesterday. Or I think Friday. I mean, we talked about it before the Fed, that what the market did last Friday with all the data we had last week and the ups and downs and jiggles, the way it gave it up on Friday, said that was the week. The week was made on Friday. And just like you say, the close, well, weekly closes are even more important than daily closes.
If anybody, I really hope, look at this beautiful site here. Listen, really, I don't want to get dramatic. If anybody heard anything, where the real money is made, the 50-day is the crumb. I don't know how to articulate it. Just that's tantamount. That's what big money means.
Yeah, so weekly, some people even get a telescope out and look at monthly charts. So
no, weekly closes are where the big money's made.
Yeah, so
it triggered something in me.
Yeah, so there's the yen. We'll see if I get a weekly reversal. you don't know till Friday at the close. Uranium stocks coming off too. You know, when you have breaks like this, I think they started to break a couple days ago. I saw a pretty negative day,
I
but
had that.
after a huge run in Cameco.
No,
So
I had a nice trade in CCJ. Hold on.
you were
No, I had a
short?
nice trade. Yeah. I traded it,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I
see
traded
it.
it well.
Yeah.
I
Now
made the hard
these are
money, but I hold on a second. I traded because of the vol. This is what happened. I'll show you actually. The volume capitulation. This was the
uh,
Friday, September 15th, I believe.
okay, last
Yeah.
week. Yeah,
And it went from 39. I started shorting it at 40 because I thought it was going to be over that option. And then it went to
yeah,
41.65.
yeah.
Uh
Don't you love that?
no, well, this is what a couple I do love it. You know why? Because I was hypocritical. The biggest moves come at the end. That's a
Yeah,
perfect example.
I know.
I mean,
I
the
mean
thing
about being early. Yeah.
creeped up, and it's been a number one, no, probably a top number 5 call player throughout this literally 2023.
You see
Nobody
that
can argue.
RSI? That
Yes.
RSI at the end tells me that whatever the degree of pullback is, that this is not the high, it's just a high because price was confirmed with momentum. So knowing that, I'm looking to buy breaks. Maybe it'll be 36, maybe it'll be 34. But the uranium stocks consider this overall market decline setting up an opportunity to buy things that ran away from you in the last 2-3 months. You're going to have that would include oils, most likely, uranium. So anyway, that's the way I see it, as
Chevron's the
a
one.
buying.
This is guy. I think this has a little catch up to do from
Yeah, the
Chevron looks up.
oils. So even some of the oils, which have been holding the market up, look vulnerable. That's not going to help the S&P cause
No, it
at
isn't.
all. I don't know if the financials can hold up the whole market, and it's mainly tech that's really
What a
devastated.
move! These are coach. These are V type shape moves in macro stocks that normally shouldn't happen. These are, I mean, this is like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
83 to 80 to 90. No, that's a lot. I don't know, man.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think there's a possibility that people think the world's coming to an end by the end of the year, but it's not. So, if you're preserving capital, you're going to have great buying opportunities and everything you met. Maybe you'll be able to buy Nvidia at $300 and you didn't have to pay 480. Maybe you'll be able to buy it there. So,
Hold on a second. Look what this guy just said. Please come in. This is my biggest position. It's stinging me. Look what just came across. QS, bullish wise guy position. The guy's going out till April.
in
Brilliant.
QS,
How much is that? 74,000. Oh, that's could be me.
what's he buying?
April
S&Ps?
9 calls. Here's the QS chart. I'm a believer. My price, there's the align. My price is 771, and I have 6 figures into it.
Okay.
It makes it's a lithium battery maker. It
Let's
makes
see.
these type
Yeah.
of,
All right. So let's see. With copper coming down, it should be good for battery
well,
makers, right?
let's look at
And
the best of
lithium.
let's go across the sector and be unbiased, like I say. If I didn't have it, like if I was flat. So I want to look at QS.
All
Little
right.
bullish wise guy action. Big
I
deal.
have no chart up on the right-hand side of the screen right now.
All right. All right.
All I have is your, I think, Jesus feed on. There you go.
Okay. There's QS.
US.
Okay. It's
Huh.
got the move in it. It was one of these movers. It's a lithium battery play.
Okay.
Pardon me. Everybody knows I'm in it. It had the move right here on good news, and that wasn't a short squeeze from 6 to 12, from 5 to 12. Right now,
And
I'm
now
in it.
someone's loading up on calls and you're long here.
Not loading up on calls, but I'm saying
No,
that's
I mean, a sweep is loading up on
yeah, but in
calls.
April, that's what I want to see. Some guy doesn't say, oh, I think this thing's cheap. Maybe they squeeze it by the end of the week. Some
Right.
guy's going out till April, which I like.
That also means it could take some time and price
Well, I might be.
action for it to develop.
I have so much QS. I probably just make as much in margin. Not a margin, overnight interest. I'm not on margin. Thank you,
Okay.
thankfully, to TradeView's backing fact. But
Okay.
overnight interest. I'm not being facetious either. bottom line is, so I see, suppose I'm not in Q and I see, oh, Q's, that's interesting, QS. I know it. It's got moves in it. It's a lithium battery player. So I look at the best of breed. I go to ALB.
Ugly.
There's the ALB chart.
Yeah.
So that's the big lithium battery play.
That's
Tesla
going to
pulling
take
back's
out
not
its
helping.
March lows.
Then I'll
Yeah.
go to the ancillary ones, LTHM.
Ugly.
Okay, then I'll go to, well, what's the other? LAC, Lithium of America.
Better.
Actually, QS is the two ones that are holding up okay are LAC. See, LAC specs. So, you know, I'm in the, I guess the wrong church, but the right pew. I
Yeah.
don't know if that makes sense. So I see the sweep. So, you know, I would, and by the way, ALB last year was a nice winner for me because there was the lithium play, and the lithium was almost like an AI,
AI.
play.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, preceding that. With
It's
that being said,
impossible to open lithium mines because of the toxic nature of lithium. No one wants it in their neighborhood or their forest or their mountains. So that's a pretty heavy looking chart there.
well, there's the weekly on ALB, the big daddy.
Yeah, I don't like
And
it.
here's the monthly. I mean, if you want to try, here's the weekly.
Yeah. Looks
There's
like
the
a
daily. You
massive
want to
head
try?
and
I don't
shoulders.
know, man. But you know what? I'm keeping. I'm not. Listen, I'll tell you this. I have enough. I'm not averaging down. I'm committed, but you know, I will. You know, I'll sell some if not. But I still don't think it's that thing that poorly. That to me edifies some things. By the way, it's only one, but I get the picture.
Okay, Mike. Well, you know what I have to say. Anyone that's been following our work shouldn't be surprised by this sell-off in the general markets. It's something that I've been talking about for a while. It takes time to turn a battleship around, but this battleship has been turned around. I'm not going to discount that we're not going to have a big bloodbath, and my spaghetti indicator ends up being right. And you know what the target of that spaghetti indicator is.
I do.
Everyone
I
wants
mean,
to
it
buy it.
started.
Huh?
It started. The spaghetti indicator started as it started a life of its own. You should patent that. But
Yeah.
you brought it up. You brought it up because of a reason, and that's what you came up with a target. I don't know how it worked. That you know.
A lot of confluence at 42. That was a breakout. I have moving averages there. So again, we could be there by Tuesday. We'll see. Anyway, today, this week was a good week to figure out if you're a good risk manager. So are you a good risk manager, Mike?
I should cut the weeds more and water the flowers, but I'm able to. The good thing is my timing is able to me to get out of. Listen, you know what the thing is? If you would start me down $100,000 on the day with positions, I'd make the 100 back. If you started me out with those very same positions flat, I'd probably make 70 to 78. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
You wouldn't bet you trade better under pressure, under a
No,
drawdown.
believe me. Who wants to? It's not
Who wants
that.
it?
I'm usually in the stocks that are somewhat capitulatory or volatile. You know,
All right. Today, this week, I was too good of a risk manager because I cut my downside exposure by coming out of the regional banks that are breaking down pretty good.
but you said that you posted the trade. You
Yeah.
told us that on Thursday
I did
morning.
it because they were buying sweeps in the money centers.
No, Thursday morning. That's
Yeah.
right.
So I figured it might spill over into the regionals. Anyway, I'm really getting excited because, you know, we're if you look at the miners, we're getting closer to where I'm going to be interested. Russell broke down at that head and shoulders we talked about earlier this week, but the miners, there's GDX. So tried to turn good. It's not doing so. I'm looking for it to take out its recent lows at 27 and trade more towards 24, 25. So I might start buying around 26. And I believe that I'll be long sometime in November. So
Oh, it's not that
about a
far
month
off.
away.
Jesus, that's a
No,
big
it's
move.
not.
And the volatility picking up. There's Newmont,
Yeah,
by the way,
Newmont's
gaining some
acting,
volume.
it's starting to act like best of breed. It has the best chart
It's a
pattern
it's a
of all the
funky
golds.
stock. Here's AU. By the way, here's a chart on GLD. And here's my chart. Well, Sans yesterday, will continue. And there's the chart on GFI. So I
Yeah.
actually sold GFI up here, if you
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah.
When GLD was over, it was a lot lower.
Right.
Well, not a lot lower.
Yeah. So that was a good out, and there'll be a time to buy it. I think it's coming up, and by then I think we'll have a more significant dollar top. If the dollar pulls back from here, I think it's just temporary and there's another wave. But I'm looking for 109 Dixie, and I'll be timing gold mining entries against a Dixie 109.
Okay.
That's all I got today.
No, good, coach. No, I got you. You know what? Everybody's got to go back to YouTube channel because, like I said, I've learned more. In the past, I don't know, probably a month, 2.5 months than a while. Not to say you, it's more. I'm not saying that it wasn't quality material. Look at the VIX. I mean, we've been talking. All for this is it's just been melting. There's not really much to talk about. Now the volume's coming in. So now it makes sense.
You had nice divergence at the last low too.
Paul, by the way, said Paul said he's $8 bear.
Paul?
Yeah.
He was a dollar bullish, looking for higher numbers. Is this just short term, Paul?
Just watching Batman and Robin's video, I heard Coach say cannot find a dollar bear, or here's one. He just closed out his pound dollar buy of the afternoon. But it's all based on the info I've been posting.
All right, nice, Paul.
Yeah.
So I'm still looking for 114 longer term in cable, Paul.
Yeah.
That'd be 61.8 of the whole advance.
Okay.
And there's Mike Tyson. I know what it's like to get punched in the face. It's happened many times in my career in different ways, with a hook,
It was in
with an
Bronx,
uppercut.
everybody's got it. Yeah. Everybody's got to take a beating every once in a while.
With a headbutt, everything, any other way I could get, taken down. I've gone through it. So, nice show, Mike.
You too, Coach. Thank you.
Yeah, and appreciate all the hard work you do in the room, and everyone out there. Good hunting. Don't jump in front of this right away. I think any rallies, you have to sell rips until we at least get to 42.
Well, you have to at least take your opinion very, very seriously because you've been, it's a high level opinion. You've been right. I don't know what
and watch that VIX. Well, we start getting through 18, 26 is the next stop, and over 26, who knows where it's going. So those are my levels. Those are my calls. See you in the room. Thank you, Mike.
Here's everyone. Have a plan. I'm in the room all day.
You are.
You don't get unless you ask. I know it's volatile, and I don't want to be throwing too many fast and furious ideas. I want to keep my ideas as there's a TGH theme, quality instead of quality. But I'm an active trader, so you have to ask. You have to ask. You don't get unless you ask. So
yeah, nice action in this KB Homes right here as we go off the air.
Right, so, not bad. I'm seeing it on my things.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. Some of the strong stocks are going to, these are opportunities, but I still think you keep your long powder dry until at least the middle of October, late October.
The only one actually bouncing.
Yeah, so that's what I mean.
Every other one's on the low.
Yeah, it's kind of like Microsoft's bouncing and Amazon's still getting murdered.
Correct.
Yeah. So
look at DHI. This one you got to be interested. This is the big daddy. Watch it towards a 200-day.
Yeah.
This might put if it does, this might put a floor on the a little bit more floor on the home builders if a floor is there. But that's the one to watch. Sorry.
Pay attention to Mike. He's my
Cheers, everyone. Thank you.
He's my trading warrior brother.
You are, Coach. What I'm doing now is I'm going to go watch that video that you posted a little while ago.
We had a nice interview with Tony Greer.
Bravo.
Yeah. Okay, buddy.
Cheers, everyone. Thank you, Coach. Have a good day.
Adios.